Hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith, and today we're doing a custom Magic the Gathering card review. And this is a card by FireOfGolden. We've reviewed some of his cards before. I believe all I've seen from him are Undertale cards so far, so yeah, we got more of those today. Alright, so once again I will say I have not played Undertale. So the references will be lost on me, so I will have to judge these cards based on them as just standard Magic cards. Alright, so here we go. We got Papyrus, the greatest skeleton. He is the greatest skeleton. Okay, he is 6 mana, 4/6, legendary creature, monster, noble, soldier. Whenever one or more creature, I assume that's supposed to be one. Whenever one or more creatures attacks you this turn, you may sacrifice Papyrus. If you do, target opponent puts a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature, then untap those creatures as if they are not attacking, end that opponent's turn. Monster soldiers you control have vigilance. He believed the human could change, yet here he remains in dust with nothing but a red scarf. Okay. So here we have a 6 mana 4/6 with vigilance that gives other monster soldiers vigilance. That's a very specific creature type. I assume there's more of them. I assume he's made more of them. But obviously, this is only useful with very specific cards, and that's fine. Usually when you see this kind of a thing, you say, like, other monster soldiers you control have vigilance, then you give this creature vigilance too. It doesn't bother me so much here, but that's sort of a templating thing that Wizards tends to do just to make things like extra clear, you know, because you got to think about the new players when you're making your cards, and you know, a new player might see this and might not realize that it applies to this guy himself, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, so this ability, whenever one or more creatures attacks you this turn, you can sacrifice him. If you do, target opponent puts a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature, and then untap those creatures as if they are not attacking in that opponent's turn. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of rewording here so that it kind of makes more sense to me, and it's sort of in Magic jargon here, because there's a couple issues. So we'll figure them out as we go. So whenever one or more creatures attacks you this... whenever one or more creatures attacks you... Wait, this turn? You don't need that, right? Just attacks you. Whenever one or more creatures attacks you, you may sacrifice this guy. If you do... okay. So right now you have target opponent puts +1/+1 counters. That means you can pick a different opponent, including the one that's not attacking you, right? Which I don't think that's your intention here. So how would we word this so that it would make sense? One or more creatures attacks you, we may sacrifice this guy. If you do, I think we can just say, can you put a +1/+1 creature, or excuse me, counter? I don't think you need to say that the other player needs to do it, right? I mean, I don't think that's the case for -1/-1 counters. Let's just take a look. What's a minus? Let's see. I can think of one. Fume Spitter. Yeah, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. So I think it's okay if I don't think you need to specify that a certain player needs to do it. So you could just say, if you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. And then I think you can say untap those creatures, untap them and remove them from combat. Let's see. Whenever one or more creatures attacks you, may sacrifice this guy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. Untap them and remove them from combat. And then I guess you would say... end the turn, right? Because you don't need to say that opponent's turn, it's just the turn. There's only one turn going on, right? And then, yeah, you got this. So, yeah, I think this is probably how you could word this. And I think it even meant save a little bit of space for you. Whenever one or more creatures attacks you, you may sacrifice Papyrus. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures. Untap them and remove them from combat. End the turn. Okay. So I think that's how this should be worded. There might be a few templating things here that I'm not entirely sure about the wording on this. I think it's okay. But anyway, it's close enough. So the question is this a good ability? I mean, you've got a 6-mana 4/6. That's not really, with Vigilance, that's not particularly exciting. I guess he does give your other monster soldiers Vigilance, but you know, still, so if we ignore this ability, I wouldn't play this card, right? I wouldn't play like a 6-mana 4/6 that gives a very specific group of creatures Vigilance. So it really comes down to, is this ability good enough? And I don't know. I'm not really feeling this ability. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad ability, but like the fact that you put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures is like a really big deal. Because like, yeah, you're fogging them and you're ending their turn. But you're losing this guy that you paid 6 mana for, and now their creatures are larger. And that seems I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a good thing to me. It seems like they almost get the better end of the deal there. I mean, if it's like a really close, well, not, I was gonna say if it's a really close race, this is good, but not even then, because you're untapping them and they're bigger now, so you can't even race that well. So there'd have to be like a very, very, very specific scenario where this ability would be useful. Other than that, I really don't see anybody using this ability. So, you know, I'm not exactly sure what I'm assuming this is trying to emulate something Undertale related, but, you know, as far as like the card itself, I don't see anybody using this ability really. Like you're paying 6 mana, which is a lot, for a sort of an underpowered body with an ability that's incredibly situational. So, I mean, okay, so I guess in Commander, maybe you could like use this and then like wipe the board, and then you can replay Papyrus for 8. So like, I guess there's that. But still, again, it's just like very situational, you know. I'd like to see something that makes this guy like, you know, worth playing, I guess. Like, again, this ability is so situational that it's just so minor that he's basically just a 6-mana 4/6 that gives a very specific group of creatures Vigilance, and that just can't be good enough. For really any format. Like, I wouldn't even play that in Limited, really. I mean, yeah, not really. Like, in Limited, you want your 6-drops to, like, you know, really kick butt, because 6 is a lot of mana. So, yeah, I just think this card's very underpowered. I think the ability is just very, very specific. I mean, it would go a long way to basically, like, change this so that, like, okay, so if this said whenever one more creature attacks you, you may sacrifice this guy. If you do, prevent all combat damage that would that would be dealt this turn. End the turn. Or maybe you don't even need to say this. Maybe you could just say end the turn, right? Because then the combat damage doesn't happen. Right? Yeah, so like you could literally word it like this. So basically what this means is like they attack you, you sacrifice this guy, it ends the turn. Now all their creatures are tapped down, right? And that leaves you like an opening to get in with your vigilance creatures. Or, well, I guess they don't have vigilance anymore because you sacrificed this guy. But like an ability like this, it's actually quite powerful. But you do have to sacrifice your like guy for it. So like I don't really think you need to do this +1/+1 counter thing, to be honest. Something like this I think would be, I mean, yeah, like something like this would be like, even this is like not that exciting to me just because like I have to sacrifice my 6-mana dude, you know? So maybe if you had like an ability like this, just straight up get rid of all of these downsides, the +1/+1 counters, the untapping, and then like maybe make him cheaper or give him like a worthy body, you know, like make him a 6/6 at least, right? I think that would go a long way with this guy. But as of right now, I have to give this guy a 3 out of 5. You know, unfortunately, I think I have to give this one a 2 out of 5. I want to give it a 3 out of 5, but like, I just don't think this design works very well. What you've done here, and it's the balance is off, and the presentation is unfortunately also off. I mean, and I'm not even talking about the art here. I'm talking about the fact that like the words here kind of are, you know, getting really close to the mana cost. The soldier here is overlapping this little symbol here. And there are grammatical errors in here. Again, I understand that not everybody is great at grammar or English is their first language or whatever, but you know, these types of the presentation of cards really matter, and you just have, you know, if you want a high score, you just have to get these things right. You know, that's just like baseline stuff. So. You know, if you don't know how to word something, find other cards that do similar things and copy their wording. Go online and look at some, search some grammar, right? Like type your sentence in online, like in Google, and it'll probably correct your grammar for you. You'll find it somewhere else. So, yeah. Yeah, I just unfortunately have this one a 2 out of 5, which is a shame. I mean, this guy looks pretty cool, but yeah, for the reasons I mentioned, I'm just not a big fan of this one. So, okay, thank you guys for watching. That's my review of Papyrus, the Greatest Skeleton.